Welcome back to the Life Scope channel. On your way in, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It's appreciated as always. So, I'm gonna do a quick commercial break and then I'll be right back in just a few minutes.
Dive into the fun world of letters with Sparkle DNA's ABC Word Chase and Coloring Book. Looking for an exciting and educational way to help your little ones explore their ABCs? Look no further. This engaging book not only allows your child to practice tracing the alphabet, but also includes tracing words and coloring fun pictures in between. It's kid-friendly, kid-approved, and the perfect blend of learning and creativity. Get your copy today and watch your child's learning journey light up with joy.
Sorry about that from earlier. I tried to do a live stream and then I had got a phone call, so I had to literally stop and restart, but we are here. So before I get into this video, I want to tell you what led me to find this and watch this. So I was looking at the interview with Cam Newton and Dr. Bryant. And Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, I remember seeing her on the Zoe Williams show like years ago. She wasn't a regular, but she was on there enough to where I remembered her, and I haven't seen her anywhere since. So when I saw this interview that Cam Newton does on his podcast, I wanted to kind of tune in and hear a little bit of it. And then I still probably will go back and just listen to the whole thing. But the main part or the part that's really been talked about, I'm going to play in just a minute. So, this clip right here from what Cam Newton was saying, this clip right here, it somewhat goes into that because it's talking about mandatory testing. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this, and then I'm gonna stop it just before the Cam interview with Dr. Cheyenne Bryant.
Of blood banks. Between 25 and 30% of the males who are accused of being the father, they take a paternity test and find out they did not do it.
Are you for mandatory DNA testing at birth?
I am absolutely on record as saying that if we want to prevent the problem of having men challenge paternity later down the road, is then let's apply a proactive solution. Automatic DNA testing at birth would work to help two things. One, we would assure that the right parents were named on the birth certificate. Two, it would stop paternity fraud and take the profit out of paternity fraud.
But so many women's groups say this wouldn't be fair. You're acting like you don't trust the mother. Why do you think they say that?
It's a red herring. It takes away from the focus of, well, who's the one person who has all of the information about potential fathers or the paternity candidates? It is the child's mother. And currently, in most places, she has no duty to disclose that, well, wait a minute. Well, my husband's not really my child's father. My boyfriend is. Like, well, wait, lady. But you're married. You forgot that you were married?
So this right here I thought was very interesting because there's some, I'm not gonna say that this is not even official in any state, but this is something that people have been working on for a few years to try to get mandatory DNA testing. And I was like, ooh, that's gonna piss off a lot of women because some women, we just have to be honest. Some women do get their hustle on by putting out them babies. So we have to be honest about that. But the flip side, which will be Cam Newton and that interview that I'm gonna play in just a second. But I think this should be an actual thing. It would take out a lot of money that is going around based off paternity fraud. It would, I'm not going to say make people more responsible, particularly women in this case, but it would stop just I feel like it would stop a lot of nonsense because you know that you can't get away with it. You know you just can't tell a guy who you deem to be the father, hey, I'm gonna need you to go ahead and put your name on his birth certificate, and then that man ends up paying for a kid that he did not create all the way up until the age of 18. And I can't even imagine you don't have an actual physical attachment. You may have an emotional attachment in a sense, but this is someone that did not come from you and you're taking on that responsibility. So that is a tremendous job. And it works the same with some women, considered to be stepmoms or whatnot, or maybe women who are not able to have kids and they are taking on that tremendous responsibility as well. And they're kind of in that same situation. But the difference is with this is that nobody's really taking the women to get paternity DNA testing. It is usually the men. Now, one of my friends from way back when, he told me of his personal situation where he did not know he had a child um, with this particular woman he was dealing with until the child was 5 years old. So when I first heard this, now he already has kids and whatnot, and married and everything. But when I first heard this was like years ago. I sat up there and I thought that woman really just did not want you to be the father. Because, see, it's one thing for you to sleep with a guy on Tuesday and then turn around and sleep with another guy on Thursday, 2 different days, 2 different men. And when you get pregnant, you may at that time not know and you have to think back. But then when you go to the doctor, when you find out how far along you are and everything, you will definitely know who's who between whatever you did. So when he told me that, I thought to myself, yeah, she didn't want you to be that baby daddy. Whoever that guy was with, she wanted him to be the daddy. It didn't work out. And she realized she needed help. Because just think about that. After that didn't work out with the guy that she was with, she literally turns around and she puts my friend on child support. And so that's why I was telling him, I said, yeah, that woman that you dealt with, she did not want you really to be the child's father, but she knew that you were. Because immediately when she broke up with the other guy or whatever the situation was, she comes around with some papers and puts you on child support. So he's currently paying for a child. That child is probably about 10 or 11 years old by now. But he is currently still paying for a child. He really didn't have no dealings with the mother like that. He has his wife. The rest of his children are pretty grown now or whatnot. And he don't even get to see this baby. Cause I was trying to tell him like, look, you need to see your baby. But he was just like the mother and that baby, they have moved out of town. So he don't hear anything from her, but he gets the reminder every time the money is taken out for the child out of his check. So I can't sit up here and pretend that women trying to use children in order to get financial resources and benefits, I can't act like that's not a thing and that's not happening. So I do agree that the mandatory DNA testing should definitely be a thing, but I want you to tell me whether or not if you agree with that as well. So now I want to go ahead and get into the Cam Newton. I'm going to play the clip that I clipped out of the interview. And give me just a second because I had all of this queued up so I wouldn't have to really be trying to find it. Okay, let me play this.
So I'm not married, right? I have beautiful children.
How many?
8.
I thought I didn't do my research. I thought it was 4, but 8. Okay.
No, baby.
Cool.
It's
By how
8.
many women?
3. I want more. Now,
By multiple women? What's the intent?
I
I'm
just
saying,
want
or by
God
your
to bring
wife?
them. I just want God to bring them.
Oh, okay. And you have, so you just
Because
bring 'em,
my
okay.
point is this. My desire to get married
Mhm.
is lower than my fear of divorce. So, as you had said, Dr. Bryant, you said it, I didn't say it. I will agree. I'm just taking my time.
You're not taking your time.
I am, though.
You're being very action based. You're not taking your time. You're being very action based.
I'm taking my time.
You're being very action based. You have 8 kids with 3 different women.
Yes.
You are creating, procreating, and multiplying. That is not taking your time. You're being very selectively active. Okay. So you're creating, in disclaimer, the kids are innocent. They are beautiful and amazing. Anything I say has nothing to do with them babies because I can't wait to be a mom and I love the kids, period. But you are proactively choosing where you want to be active at and where you want to take your time. You want to take your time in having a wife because of your own fears. But you will, and I say this with all respect and love, what I'm about to say next, okay, Cam? But you will selfishly create broken families, even if you're in their life and you're a proactive father. And I believe you're an amazing daddy. I can only imagine with just your presence and knowing you thus far. But these families are still broken. Every child cannot have papa in the house with them. So some child, if not all will end up with some kind of deficit without daddy being there. Now, you chose to do that. I'm not saying you sat there and woke up one morning and said, I want to be selfish today, so I'm going to go make a baby. Not saying that at all. But those are selfish acts at the expense of your fear. So at what point do you feel the fear, do it anyways? And yeah, that is a low functioning behavior.
So I want to pause right there. The clip doesn't go on for that much longer, but I want to just kind of interject right there. Oh, and I used to like Cam too, but it just seems like since he stopped playing football, he has just become more and more weird to me, in my opinion. Even with the way he dresses, it's just I don't know, it just don't fit him. But if that's how he want to look and present himself, who am I to like judge him all the way like that? That's him. But I find it odd, and I have to agree with what Dr. Bryant said. You talking about Cam, he has a fear of divorce, but he doesn't have a fear of bringing children into the world. And it's kind of one of those things that is so backwards because you literally are essentially tied to a human being that you brought into the world for the rest of your days. That's somebody that you have to take care of, you have to see about, you have to bring them up until the rightful age to where they're able to do that for themselves. And even still afterwards when they're grown, they may need something and then who do they call? They call mom, they call dad. So I do agree with the doc when she said that it is selfish and that it is a low functioning behavior. Because how is Cam, this professional football player, not afraid of getting hurt on the field? So you've challenged yourself physically. And even if you were scared to just go up against, big country football players, how are you now afraid of being married? Now, I know on the flip side of that, I know that marriage has really been taken for granted for I'm gonna say within maybe 30 years, even longer. Marriage has been taken for granted. People tend to use that as a come up, and I do know because they y'all won't let women forget it that 70% of women are filing for divorce, and most of that is due to financial circumstances. So I get all of that and I understand that. So I could see a man maybe being hesitant to want to get married. But like she was saying and he was saying, he said he's just taking his time. And she's like, but how are you taking your time when you are creating children that you literally have to care for? And he didn't even create one or two or three kids. You got eight. We know he has, or we assume that he has money and appears to be doing well. But just think about what it costs for one child, and you have eight. And then you may or may not have the drama of different women. That sounds like a lot. That's a lot of women, that's a lot of emotions. I mean, I know how I get when I am moody. So I can only imagine how other women get when they are moody as well, and then they didn't have your babies. So what he's paying with the eight kids, I don't know. Would that add up if he did get married to one of the moms and essentially a divorce occurred? Like, the only way to be able to tell that is if someone actually had that scenario going on. Like, just mathematically, would it add up? You have eight children, you have three different women. We don't know if he's paying for the households, but I would assume that he is making it comfortable because he wants his children to be all right. So he's making it very comfortable for the women or the mother of his children. So that's households that he may be paying for. If he was to get married and get divorced, literally, would that amount of money add up to that? Maybe not, because maybe he has some other stuff that's just in his name that his children's mothers have no rights to at all, or anything. So maybe it doesn't actually add up, but it's just like you still having a chunk of your money go to this football team you created and possibly these three women. So let me finish playing the rest of this and then we'll get right back into it.
To say that I am going to create these homes. Let me go better. I'm going to build these houses and put kids and these beautiful women and kids in them, but I ain't going to create a home in them. I'm going to wait till I dissipate my fear to find a wife where I'm still going to be fearful with, because there's no such thing as not having some type of nerve or some type of feeling behind marrying somebody who you're spending your life with. And then I'm going to build a home with her while all these other beautiful babies have houses.
And this is the kicker.
So, yeah, that in itself, let me bring myself back up. Hold on. So, that in itself is just it's really odd to me. It is so backwards. And he, I guess maybe financially or on paper, would be considered a high functioning, I don't know if you would even call him high value man, because when I contribute high value man, and I feel like people just throw that term out so loosely, I literally think of it as your mindset. Like, you may not be able to afford certain things at this time, but you are that kind of man to where you don't let nothing hold you down. You go out here and you get it, whatever getting it is. whatever your goal is, whatever you have laid out for yourself, you don't let fear stop you. So back to Cam, he didn't let fear stop him when it came to wanting to be a professional football player. So again, I get maybe he just doesn't want to get married because he said he has a fear of the divorce, and that will probably come with a lot of things. Just to name one, alimony, paying for your child, and then, we got to be honest, women getting into that hustle of, yeah, I want to raise these child support payments. I think Marlon Wayans is going through that very thing with his child's mother of trying to get the child support rate raised. So, like I said, I get all of that. It just seems like it's an excuse for him to continue to go out there. And then he said he wanted more children. So, you want to create many more kids who you're not living with them on a constant basis. I won't even say full time because we don't know if Cam travels for doing whatever he's into, business ventures or whatnot. But just when they wake up, they see you. And then, for the most part, when they're getting ready to close their eyes or go to bed, you're there. And people think that's not a thing that a kid would miss if they never had it. It is a total thing. It is a real big thing to have both of your parents in the house together. Now, me personally, my mother told me about around the age of 5, like, I don't know if her and my dad just kind of got into some kind of argument or whatever, but she told me, and it might have been before 5 because I think I will remember. So it could have been from 4 or even maybe 3. She told me when he had left after their argument, and I guess maybe it looked like he was going to be gone for a little while, that I was coming at her as a little bitty child and telling her like, well, why does he have to go? Where is he going? And she couldn't really answer me. All she could do was just look at me. So it really does matter, and it does have an effect to have your mama and your daddy in the same household most of the time. Because, like I said, I'd be making benefit of the doubts or exceptions with like what type of job that the parent has to where they just would not be in the home. Now, does that mean with two parents being in the same household that the child is just going to automatically grow up to be this wonderful individual? No, there's no proof in that. But at least it gives the child a good chance, a really good chance of being a productive member of society when you see your parents together. Because you do want to mimic that behavior. And, all of us kind of do until we get grown or become aware or grow up a little bit. And then we realize that is my parents' way of life. That's not necessarily for me. So with Cam, I don't know. I have to really agree with Dr. Bryant. I think it's low functioning behavior. And I don't think he received what she was saying well. And it looked like she tried to, from what I was listening to, she tried to explain it as best as she could. And she didn't try to offend him in any kind of way. She really didn't. She was doing disclaimers, to make sure that it was understood what she was saying. And I'm not going to say that he just didn't just take it wholeheartedly, but if you do decide to go over to Cam's podcast or even just Google it or whatnot and then just look at the video, where it's kind of broken down and you can go to each section, you could see that he wanted to just, get his opinion across. Because while she was talking, and you know how it goes, come on, when you hear somebody talking or you're in a conversation with somebody and you're really not listening, you are only being quiet so then you can come in and respond. He literally did that to her, like, well, okay, let me know when you're done, or and it's like, well, when a person is quiet or when they shut up, that's when they're done. So it's kind of like he wanted to rush in to give his opinion. So that's what I'm saying. Was he really listening to the words that she was saying and receiving it? Because why would you want to continue to make more children? And granted, him making more kids. I mean, I actually am all for it. I think we do need more black children. So I'm definitely for that. But why would you want to do it in this way? And then think about the woman that he may or may not marry. Because if he didn't marry the first three women that had his child, if he's hesitant on them, then I don't know. I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening unless Cam is just down and out and he's just old and he like, you know what, I'm just gonna pick one of these three, you know, these three blank blanks and make them my wife. So I don't see it. I would have to get, I guess, a man's perspective because I can only assume. I don't try to make the mistake of speaking for a man. I can only assume. And then, like, I have brothers, uncles, a dad. So I'm seeing cousins, like a very large family. So I'm seeing how men act around me. But I can't really never fully answer that question like I feel like a man can. Is it okay for you to have all these children and not even think about considering marrying the women? And because he didn't marry any of the women, but continued to have all these kids, is he essentially saying they are not the one for him? Now, the reason I am saying that is, like I said, with my little disclaimer of just me and my family, I was told it really don't take long. And I was showed that as well. It don't take long. It's like they know. It's like the longer it takes for a man to marry you, it's like he's trying to figure out some things. And then maybe some of those things could be financial, like he doesn't have his self together in that way, so he wants to get some things set up. But with Cam, Cam is not worried about that. So it is a little selfish, I would say, to try to continue to create all these babies, not be with the mothers. And when you finally come across that woman, because I feel like there's always one special woman, maybe two, that you just don't see yourself turning down. So will Cam come across that woman? And then if so, that's if she don't have kids, that's gonna be a lot to just kind of put on her. Hey, I want to marry you. Guess what? I got 8 kids. Like that is a lot to put on a person, either way, male, or female. So I don't think that would be fair to whoever he decides to marry, if he decides to marry later on in life. And then can you even imagine he gets married to a woman and she doesn't have kids by him? I wonder how are the baby moms or how are the mother of his kids. I'm trying to get out of the habit of saying baby mom, baby daddy. But I wonder how the mothers of his children, how does that make or how would that make them feel? Because and this is just going off of like how I guess I would feel if I had a child by someone like Cam Newton and then he has other women that have had his children too and we have the kids or whatever, it doesn't really matter what you say. When you do have a child with a man, it's you created them together. So it's like that piece of you, that little bit of love that could turn into anger or bitterness. You still, in some ways, have a little bit of love for that person because you guys were able to create a baby together. So I'm just saying, I don't know. With him getting just a random woman and saying, I want to marry you, and she doesn't have his child, how would that make them feel, even though they have no right to say anything about it? That's totally his decision. Let me just put that out there. But it just seemed like it could possibly be a lot of drama. Now, if Cam wasn't rich, this definitely would be a lot of drama, just to put that out there. Since Cam is rich, it still is a lot of drama possibly, but maybe he is in control of the household and he do what he want to do. So I definitely agree and encourage people to just check that out. I thought it was a real good conversation between the two of them, and I would have to say, yeah, he is engaging in low level behavior, just like women who are doing the paternity fraud to where it's getting to a point they are actually trying to see about getting mandatory testing in different states because this has become such a big thing. But it's something that's still buzzing. So it's not a lot of news on it, but there is some if you want to just check it out for yourself. Let me know what you think. And until next time, bye.